Karen out and call her on her shit. Watch out.
Something out, it might be right.
No, I'm
You
very
better shut. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm
And then
very
tell them how
good.
much of a jerk you are. Because I lost my chance on the goddamn ground. I want to pay for it. But you couldn't help me with that, could you? By all means, you suck at customer service. I was exceptional.
You weren't.
I wasn't.
You weren't.
I have quality scores that will make you blush. So shut up. You don't know my history. You haven't seen my resume, you fucking
Why
judgmental.
don't you up your eyes and look
You're a
at me?
judgmental prick, Bob.
I'm
What about Bob? Fuck you.
Just tell him to
Give
come.
me my products
Just
now.
tell him to come. We can
Where's
review
my
it.
stuff? Give me my
Yep.
now.
Yep.
I paid for it. You better give it up
You say
now.
she's making threatening
I want
comments?
my receipt, the f I want.
Threatening comments?
I am not. You're lying. You are a liar. That is slander. How dare you?
At least you know all the rules.
Slander.
If you call Karen out and
So this is a great segue into something I wanted to talk about today, and that is the movie Karen. And the reason that this is a good segue into that section
call her on her shit.
is because this movie is a horror movie that is supposed to, I think, talk about how, you know, evil Karens are and how scary they are in the real life. And I think it has to do with a black couple moving into a white neighborhood and the fears associated with that. But after watching this video, we remember that nobody takes Karen seriously. In fact, it takes one video recording to go social media viral. You can go on YouTube and you can Google Karen and you'll see a bunch of videos. And so, like, I feel like right off the bat, we missed the mark on calling it Karen. You missed the mark because, like, no one's afraid of Karen. Karen's a meme. Could you imagine that? And, like, I would compare this to, like, the movie Get Out, which was, like, pretty good. I think that was, my understanding is that was about the struggles that, a black person has about meeting their white, parents-in-law or whatever. The white girlfriend or boyfriend's parents. Makes sense. Now, I personally don't identify that with that. Though white people have their own struggle of meeting their black partner's parents for the first time or family. Because we all know, while black people worry about being seen by the white family as a racial slur, white people are afraid of meeting their black partner's parents because they get made fun of. Because you become the butt of the joke. Which is true and funny, and I can handle it. Just any attractive black women out there. That being said, with the jokes, let's watch the Karen trailer. And if I make this a YouTube video, you're going to have to watch it yourself because they will completely restrict my ability to even make this a video if I watched it live. I tried it with another thing and they just they put it in they put it in my butt. So I'm going to watch this, take some notes, and then I'm going to talk about it afterwards. All right, that was pretty good. So we just finished watching the beautiful trailer to Karen, and I have to say, this movie looks like it's going to be really funny, and I can't wait for that, because it looks funny. Like I said, it's going to be hilarious, which is a problem, because this is supposed to be a horror movie that I'm assuming is supposed to encapsulate the feelings and frustrations of black people that move into a white neighborhood, and, some kind of systemic fear associated with it, mostly because the Karen has I think, brother who's a police officer. So there's a lot going on there. And I feel like this misses the mark. Because like we said before, a Karen is a joke. Karens are jokes. And there's even a point in the movie where they acknowledge that. If you watch the trailer, they're like, oh, wait, we have a person, we have a white woman named Karen. And it's like, you kind of already you memed your own movie, and that's kind of what this movie is about. There's a lot of memes. I think that's the biggest part, because there's a lot of points to laugh at when you say something ridiculous like that. There's a lot of these things that there's not a lot of subtlety here. I would say that if the whole narrative of the movie was to try to communicate the fears that black people had, then they need to build the story up in a lot better of a way. This person opens up the movie. The Karen in this movie opens up racist as fuck. She's asked like, "Oh, tell me about your neighbors," and the first thing she says is that they're black. Now, most of the time, people who are racist that don't like black people know it's not okay to be racist, but their feelings of racism are so strong that they don't care internally. Externally, though, they don't say things that like, oh, well, they're black. No, they try to diminish the person around it, right? So they wouldn't be like, the first thing they wouldn't say was like, oh, they're black. No, they would be like, oh, well, they look poor, or they're a little dirty, or they're unneat, or they don't do this or that. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's usually the way that you would start off with it, right? Trying to kind of invade and diminish black people without actively doing it, which is like a big deal. Now, the person has a cop brother. Who could have seen that coming, right? Because there's a whole issue with police officers and black Americans. Just kind of throw that in there. There's a point in the movie, the trailer, where it turns out she had a soap container with the Confederate flag on it. Now, the interpretation of the Confederate flag is very different from the North and the South. In the North, it's very much a symbol of racism, which is what I feel it is. In the South, for some reason, culturally, people think that it doesn't represent slavery. For them, I will say, for a lot of people down there, weird to me, I don't know. I feel like there probably could have been a better representation of racism, but maybe that's just me. But it's weird that it was hidden on the back of a soap container. Like, it would have been better if you found like a whole war memorial room. I don't know, whatever. Not a huge deal. I thought that there was a funny moment in that where the daughter or the girl, I don't know, some girl was like, oh, she doesn't like black people. And then the black woman's like, I'm black. It's like, yeah, that was what she was saying. There's a heavy emphasis on people not complying, having bad things happen to them. Again, like, I know that's what a lot of people say when they dismiss issues in the community and like in like black communities. I do understand that. But overall, I think that there's an issue with the way that at least the trailer is presenting the movie, and it's this. If you're trying to accurately communicate, especially to white people, or rather, the goal of the movie, I feel, should be to do two things. Express to black people, it's a BET movie, so it would be for the people who identify with this issue, which would be black people, to express to them a genuine understanding and identification of the issue, while communicating to people who don't understand these particular struggles in the black community, that actual struggle. And the way that you would do that is you would present an idea over and over again, where let's just use white and black to simplify it, where black people would identify with that and say that's racist, and white people would go identify with that and justify it because it's something that with a poor intent would be racist, but with a good intent wouldn't be. And you would continue to do that over and over again. But every time you did it, it shifted. So that the white people that were like, oh, that doesn't seem racist, would get more and more uncomfortable and start to slowly realize, wait, now I see why that's racist. And by the end, that example that seemed so very innocuous in the first point to white people would now go, okay, now that I've gone through the chain of events in this movie, I understand more, because you'll never fully understand, but I understand more of this particular issue that plagues black people in a very subtle way that requires a lot of life experience and understanding to get it. That would have been the way that you have to go. Unfortunately, because the trailer, at the very least, which we're going to assume is the movie, because it is such a joke, what's going to happen is that some black people might identify with it. Some will probably think it's a joke and a caricature of real issues. But then white people are just going to look at that and go, see, I knew this was bullshit. That's what's going to happen. Because like you're presenting this in such a terrible way that people are just gonna go, see, I knew this was stupid. I knew black people didn't have a reason to do this or that. That's gonna be what happens. And so that's the end result of the movie, in my opinion, based on the trailer. I think it misses the mark. Compare it to like something like Get Out. I think Get Out was great. I think that it did a really good job of like explaining an issue that black people had of meeting like a white family and the frustrations and stress about it, but also being palatable for people who never could identify with that. Because like I watched the movie, I thought it was really good, and like my thing was like, oh, those white people are bad. You know what I mean? Like I didn't identify with those white people. I just thought they were bad white people. But the movie was good in general. I don't know. This movie just looks like a clout grab, not a clout grab. It just looks like like a clout grab. It looks like it's just kind of like a social justice movie that has a decent premise, but with like a shitty writer that couldn't really encapsulate the feelings that black people had. It's just very basic. It's just a very basic take. And I feel like this is a movie that can't have a basic take, you know, but it's going to have like the same level of acting as like a bad porno or a good porno, because, you know, pornos have really bad acting. So that's my take on it based on the trailer. You know, I'm going to watch it because it's going to be funny. It's going to be funny. So I'm going to go see it. I'm going to go get COVID at the movie theater just to laugh at this terrible fucking movie. One of the things I kind of forgot to add into a lot of these conversations is when we have talks about this, everybody knows when something is a very clear example of a bad thing versus a good thing. But people don't understand the nuance of when something is bad but can be interpreted as okay. And I feel like that's the thing that the movie Karen is doing. It's showing us very clear examples of bad things that we all understand, and it's not showing us the ways in which things are bad but can be perceived as good to show us how we need to question our ideologies and our beliefs on particular systems in America. And that's one of the things that I think Karen is going to fail at. Hey everyone, if you liked that video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to follow my Twitch, Instagram, Twitter, Discord, and TikTok. All links are in the description. Also, check out my Patreon if you'd like to support me even more than you already do. Thank you so much, everyone. I love you all.